loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ree and I create conscious lifestyle content. I'm excited because it's been a long time since we've been sitting down having a little chit chat. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about the books I think you should read in 2024. This year specifically, it was important to me to spend less time on social media and do more things that I actually love, and naturally reading was one of those things. I guess I got back into reading 6-7 years ago when I was reading nonfiction books, self-help, I was healing on the journey, and all that stuff. But here recently, when I say recently, I mean 2-3 past years, I really fell back in love with fiction books, with novels. So this video is going to be a mix of both nonfiction and fiction in no particular order. Also, let me say, I had to take a trip to the library because a lot of the books, especially like the fiction books, the novels that I read, they are checked out from my local library. So take advantage of your local library, and if any of these books that I'm talking about aren't at your local library, I like to go to thriftbooks.com. I think another one is worldbooks.com, something like that, or 8 books. I'll link those below and I'll probably have them on the screen as well. But it's been a long-winded intro, so let's go ahead and get into the books I think you should read in 2024. Okay, this book, I'm a fan. This was a quick, easy, fun, and interesting read. Like, y'all, the first page, let me just read the first of all, the cover alone is just very beautiful. And one thing about books, they be like, in life, don't judge a book by its cover, but with books, I'm judging by its cover. And so if it's pretty, you got me already. But this is such a beautiful cover, and it just caught my attention off bat from the cover. But the first chapter, and it's like not even chapters, like this is low-key like a girl's journal, her diary. The first chapter, the first page says, I stalk a woman on the internet who is sleeping with the same man as I am. It's one of them books where I'm like, oh my God, no. So definitely if you want something fun, witty, and also at the same time it's fun and witty, but it also shows like an example of power dynamics, privilege, race. So it's a really interesting book. And when I tell you, Sheena, you did your thing with this one. You gotta check this one out. Okay, next we got The 4 Agreements. Now I read this book, I think I didn't show you the book. I read this book, I think I was on my way back home. Me and my partner read this book together, and it's a really interesting book. And I think it's great for those who are starting their healing journey, trying to find themselves, develop their own thoughts, their own beliefs, their own values. For me, at the time when I had read it, I felt like it was a reminder of all the things that I had learned when I was at the beginning stages of my healing journey, and it just put a lot of things in perspective. It's a beautiful book, and to this day, I still reference this book when I'm having conversations with friends, when I'm talking on my podcast. I always reference this book, so definitely check out The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This book right here, If Beale Street Could Talk. First of all, James Baldwin is a fucking icon. This book is so beautiful. I related to it so much. The words that James Baldwin uses, the way he says things, it's just like, not only is it a beautiful story, but there are so many lessons, life lessons within this book. I don't know what specific page it is on, but I am a young mother. I had my first child at a very young age, and I think I went right to the page. Till she gets pregnant at a young age by her partner, her boyfriend, Phony, who is actually falsely accused and is in jail. There's a part specifically in this book when she's telling her mother that she is pregnant. She starts crying, right? Because she's sad, she thinks she's in trouble. Let's see, you about 3 months gone? Almost. What you crying about? Then she did touch me. She took me in her arms and she rocked me, and I cried. She got me a handkerchief and I blew my nose. She walked to the window and she blew hers. Now listen, she said, you got enough on your mind without worrying about being a bad girl and all that job ass shit. I sure hope I raised you better than that. if you was a bad girl, you wouldn't be sitting on that bed. You'd long been turning tricks for the warden. After I read this, I realized that you don't have to read self-help books to heal, to have wounds healed and kissed. I realized that as a grown woman, I realized that all these years I thought I was a bad girl for having a child at a young age. And I didn't realize until I read this. So this is proof. Like, I literally could have cried. I could have cried. Like, a part of me was healed when I read that part of the book. The whole book is amazing, but specifically that part. And yeah, this book will forever be dear to my heart. I will have this book forever. Homegoing by Yasi. This book right here, I am highly surprised that I enjoyed this book, because I'm not someone who enjoys like history or even hearing about like my history, Black history, how my ancestors were treated. Like, I don't really like that stuff because, well, used to. The old me, I didn't really like that stuff because I didn't think I would be able to handle hearing all the things that my ancestors went through. You know what I'm saying? Like, that trauma already lives within me. Even though my brain, my mind can't comprehend or can't remember, trauma is passed down. So that already lived within me, and I didn't want to awaken that trauma within me. And so that's how I used to think. But when I tell you, baby girl, this book right here was so freaking good. It starts off in Africa, and every chapter is the story of a new generation. So for example, the first chapter is about Afia, right? And so the next chapter is about her children, and so forth and so on. And within those chapters, something unfolds, things unfold within each chapter that we didn't necessarily hear in the chapters before. And it just shows how family and, you know, previous generations, how they're all interconnected. But yeah, I love this book, and I would say this is somewhat of a historical fiction book. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Now, whenever I was first starting my journey 7-8 years ago, and I just reached a really dark place, I didn't know where to turn to. I don't know who or what led me to this book, but this book, I really have to give credit to me starting my healing journey, my spiritual journey, and just transforming into the being that I am today. Not only is this book motivating and inspiring, and it makes you think in a different way than you currently think, but it's also funny in the way that Jen tells her personal stories, and the way she explains things is just so relatable and so funny. So I think that if you are wanting to embark on a healing journey or a spiritual journey, or you just want to change your mindset this year, definitely check out You Are a Badass. Amazing book. Okay, Rosewaterer by Liv Little. Another one that I definitely very much judged by its cover. This book, first of all, look at the cover. It's so freaking beautiful. The name on its own, Rosewaterer, is just such an interesting and beautiful title. But this book, from page 1, had me, okay? This book is pretty much about a young queer creative. She's a poet, an author, and just an intellect. And she finds herself in a situation where her dreams aren't fully manifested just yet. So she finds herself in a situation where she is going through a lot of struggle and really just living the 20s. I think she's almost 30, and this book just really tells her story. Definitely check out this book. Amazing. People Person, another amazing book. This one also had me from the front, like from the first page. Basically, in this book, what happens is an event brings together siblings, and that's really all I can say, because if I say anything else, you're gonna know. It's like, I don't want to be the person who spoils things for y'all. Dimple, Cyril's middle child, now 30, sat at her dressing table. She was slimmer. She wasn't skinny though, not by any measure of European standards. When she was growing up, she'd seen her solid arms and her legs as problem areas, but now, and only because of the compliments she'd been getting on her thighs and bum, she accepted the thick limbs that she'd always accused of letting the rest of her body down. She had this sliding scale of how much people loved her based not just on how many likes she got, but on the emojis they dropped. Fire was the best, obviously. Hard eyes follow, but she didn't like them as much. Her least favorite was the crying emoji. It was meant to be cute, yes, but Dimple didn't want to be cute. She wanted to be sexy, and hadn't yet accepted that some people were born sexy and that she wasn't one of them. I don't know, like, I love reading y'all an excerpt because I feel like with a lot of books, it'd be hard to give a summary without telling what happened. That's me. That's me personally, though. I can't give a summary in my own personal words without giving away too much. Okay, we got a few more books to get into because I gotta give me something to eat. I'm getting hungry. Okay, Becoming Supernatural. This book is so amazing, and I have read a lot of self-help books, but I've never heard anybody talk about spirituality and the unknown and meditation the way that this book talks about, the way that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. The first chapter, first of all, it gets you because I love when, even though a book is nonfiction, I think there's still room for a story to be told, and that's the way that this book starts off. But the second chapter, when I tell you, in the second chapter, he starts to talk about the present moment. And he's just talking about, this book is really based on like neuroscience and our brains and electrons and energy, all that good stuff. And honestly, I still haven't completely finished it. Like, I literally picked this book up yesterday to read some more of it, but it's one of them books where you have to take a little bit at a time because it is a ton of information. And when it comes to stuff like this, you want to make sure you're understanding what you're reading so you can remember it and so you can apply it to your daily life. I live my life by so many of the lessons and scientific studies and findings in this book. So definitely, it's a thick one. Don't let it scare you. Take your time with it. Another thing about me, when I first started reading, of course, I have a goal to read a certain amount of books this year, but I have now started reading to enjoy, to understand, to comprehend, because sometimes like you just be reading and say you read something, and that's not the life that I want to live. Honestly, this past year, I was reading, it's several books I started reading, and I'll give you 50 pages. And if you can't wow me by 50 pages, if I feel like this isn't working out, it's okay to put it down. Because if you continue to read a book that you hate, that's just not giving, you're not going to enjoy reading. Therefore, you won't continue this reading journey. So put it down, take a break, or don't go back to it if you feel like it's not serving you. Like, you're not going to get in trouble. It's fine. Asada freaking Shakur. Okay, let me tell you, my partner read this book years ago, and he kept telling me, you need to read this book. You need to read this book. Back then, I was a person that felt like I couldn't really handle hearing what my people went through, people who looked like me went through. I couldn't handle it, but last month, I picked up this book. I don't know, I picked up this book, something in me was just like, just read it. And I'm in love. This is one of the most beautiful books I've ever read in my life. And instead of feeling defeated, you know what I'm saying? Instead of feeling down and hurt. Now, trust me, there was some moments in this book that I had to really like take a step back and recollect. But I feel so empowered. I feel strong. I feel like I can do anything. Just reading, especially if you are a person of color, just reading what my people who look like me went through, I realize I can do anything. I realize how strong I am. Let me tell you something, I love me some Asada. It literally be times where I'm going through something, or I'm feeling lazy, or I don't want to do my work, or whatever the case may be, and I be like, listen, if Asada went through what she went through, I think you could do this. So this definitely empowered me to the core, and I actually did not see that coming. Okay, we got 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. We love Deepak Chopra. I mean, it's pretty simple. The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, I talk about these laws all the time. I live my life by them. And again, this is one of those books where you want to go back and reference it and remind yourself of what you need to be reminded of on that particular day, in that particular moment. All these laws are so beautiful. And like I said, from time to time, they change. Like, my favorite laws change depending on where I'm at in my life, but the law of Dharma is my favorite law at the moment. If you've read this book, let me know what your favorite law is. The Vanishing Half, y'all. This is such a beautiful book, and actually, first of all, that was upside down. But this book is by Britt Benay. She is by far one of my favorite authors. She also has a book called The Mothers, which had I been thinking I would have checked it out as well, but another book that is just truly beautiful, truly amazing. And this book, The Vanishing Half, is a book about two sisters who, what year was it? I feel like it was the 70s. I don't know. Oh, the 50s even, shoot. Yeah, the 50s. That took place in the 50s, and two twin sisters who took two very different paths, and that's all I'm gonna really say. But I love this book so much. It's another thick one, but when I tell you I think I read this book like in 1 week because it's just that good. Yeah, definitely like top 5 for sure. Transcendent Kingdom, another one by Yasi. A beautiful story about addiction, and I just remember reading this book and just being so into it. You know, a book is good when you're living your daily life, whether it be work or cooking, I don't know, and all you can think about is getting back to your book. You know, a book is amazing when it's all you can think about. And this one of them ones. Such a fun age. I think I read this book last year. Honestly, time is an illusion, and I don't really be remembering like when something happened, so please forgive me. But I read this book a while ago, and another one that just had me. Like, from page 1, this book is basically about a black woman who is a babysitter of a white family, and something happens to where she is questioned or harassed by police in a grocery store, maybe even a security guard. I don't even know if it was the police, and she pretty much tapes, like, this is not the 80s, but she records on her iPhone the situation, and this video goes viral, and a lot of stuff just pops off. But yeah, this is a really interesting, fun, entertaining, also thought-provoking. It's the intersection between like race, privilege, class, being a young black woman. Amazing book, and I loved it so much. Okay, that is all the books that I highly recommend that you read in 2024. But before we go, I do want to show you the 2 books that I ended up checking out when I went to the library to show y'all the books that I just showed y'all. So I'm going to be reading these books next. We have House Fire, written by Connor Franta. And I don't know too much about this book. I honestly didn't even hear about it on like the internet, social media, and those really be the best ones when you just be in the library and you stumble upon something. I'm excited to read this, but also it is so beautiful. First of all, we are adults. We are. But we love pretty pictures. We still love pretty pictures in our book. But I'm excited to read this. I cannot wait. And then I also checked out, apparently this book was new to my library, but I think I had heard about it on TikTok, on BookTok, called The Fraud by Zadie Smith. The thing about it is, I know who Zadie Smith is. I know she's an icon. I know she's a literary icon. But I've never read a book by her, so I'm really excited to get into this book, and I'm the first person to check this book out because it was on the new shelf in my library. That is all of the books that I wanted to share with you. Comment down below and let me know what books you recommend, because I'm always looking for new books. If you do plan on reading any of the books that I just recommended, let me know which one piqued your interest. Let me know which ones that you think you may be reading in the upcoming year. Anyway, I love you so much. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Allow me into your space. It means the absolute world to me. But yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye.